Good evening, I'm Nancy Humphrey, and as the president of Plano ISD Board of Trustees, it is my honor, on behalf of my fellow trustees, to welcome you Plano ISD legacy and tribute to Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Did I lose the sound? Okay, appreciate that. I'm especially proud of this event in the way that it highlights our Plano ISD students. I want to thank all of the students who have helped create this amazing program. You were greeted as you walked through the Warrior Center with an energetic performance by the Rice Middle School's Jazz Ensemble, directed by Jason Tucker and David Leipy, and treated to the beautiful musical stylings from the Rice Middle School pianist Isaac Goldberg. Tonight, we are here not only to honor the inspirational legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King, but also the legacies of those individuals and the families who have, through dedication, innovation, and perseverance, helped create the vibrant and thriving community we see here in Plano today. These pioneers also saw the great importance of high-quality education that could be accessed by residents from all walks of life. They laid the strong foundation that the Plano ISD was built on and continues to thrive on. For this, we would like to remember and honor their legacy tonight, along with the great Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. As we celebrate and remember these inspirational leaders, I am pleased to highlight our current district and community leaders who are with us tonight. First, I'd like to introduce my colleagues, the Plano ISD Board of Trustees. Please stand as I call your name and remain standing until all have been recognized. They are School Board Secretary Mike Friedman, Trustees Marilyn Hinton, and our Board Vice President David Stolly, Trustees Missy Bender and Carolyn Mobius send their regrets because they were unable to attend this evening. Thank you, Carolyn. Also joining with us tonight from the City of Plano is City Councilman Pat Miner and his wife, Andrea Miner. Thank you for being here tonight. We also have members of our Plano ISD Council of PTAs who are also here tonight. Will you please stand so that you may be recognized for your service? Plano ISD is fortunate to have outstanding district leadership under the direction of Superintendent of Schools, Richard Matkin. I invite Superintendent Matkin to please stand along with his cabinet members. List out your name. Steve Wartenberry, Chief Financial Officer, and of course Richard Matkin. Carla Oliver, Assistant Superintendent for Government, Community, and Planning Initiatives. Dan Armstrong, Assistant Superintendent for Technology Services. Let's see what order we're in. Okay, Dr. Carrie Cooper, and Assistant Superintendent for District Services. Susan Modisette, Assistant Superintendent for Campus Services. And Dr. Jim Wusso, Assistant Superintendent for Academic Services. Please give them a round of applause. Now, this event wouldn't be possible without the work of this group and their team members who collaborate with the community and the campuses and who work with Dr. Myrtle Hightower on the Planning Committee. Dr. Hightower has served as chairperson for this event for more than 20 years, and we appreciate her leadership here and throughout the community. year, to honor her legacy, her outstanding work, and her great dedication to this event, we have named the first row center theater seat here at Williams High School in her honor. A special plaque has been installed naming Dr. Hightower the Plano ISD MLK Event Chairperson Emeritus. This event was started by Dr. Hightower 21 years ago, as a Black History Month celebration right here at Williams High School. It is only fitting that the best seat in the house be named in her honor. On behalf of the Plano ISD, I want to thank you, Dr. Hightower, for being such a wonderful role model and a mentor and a leader and a friend to us all. Welcome. I would also like to thank all of those who served with Dr. Hightower on this year's planning committee. Would the members of the MLK Planning Committee please stand so that we may recognize you? And now I would like to welcome the Plano East Panther Battalion under the leadership of Sergeant Major retired Michael Franklin for the posting of the colors. Please stand and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Left, right, left. 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 Color guard. On. Right, face. Post. Colors. Left.
Right.
Face. Forward. March. Left, right, left. Left, right, left.
You may be seated. Good evening. I'm Kristen Kennard, Assistant Principal of Williams High School. It is an honor for us to once again host the district celebration of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Tonight's program not only commemorates the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., but also honors the legacy of those individuals who worked so hard to lay the extensive groundwork that has allowed Plano ISD, its students, and its staff to achieve the high level of excellence we all see today. Our work as community leaders and as educators help put Dr. King and our school namesakes' dreams into action. We have a great responsibility to make sure the work we do here would not only honor the teachings of leaders like Dr. King, but also our school namesakes like T.H. Williams, a highly respected teacher, coach, and principal who gave almost 5 decades of dedication and service to educating the youth of Collin County. Earlier this month, a few of our school namesakes and family members of namesakes, along with some longtime friends of Plano ISD, came together for a lively discussion about the Plano ISD legacy. We will see clips from that conversation throughout tonight's program, the first of which will roll right now with a welcome from committee chairman and school namesake, Dr. Myrtle Hightower.
Well, we've been around a long time, just talking about each other.
Hi! Good golly Moses, that does go back, doesn't it?
How are you?
How are you doing?
Hey, Roland, how you doing? My God. I'm going back home.
I think we were actually, fresh 8th graders or so when Dr. Henry first came here, so we've known him for a long time.
I don't know, the best 3 years of my life was 8th grade, so.
We are just thankful and thankful to you to know that this is going on and the good old stories that we can just talk about and tell here this day. And my audience who's here tonight, I want you to know that we welcome you and we're so happy that you have come to us with this table of legacies around me.
Trees are legacy plantings that signify strength and endurance. They provide food and shelter and serve as calendars of time. They may reach far into the sky to provide shelter for animals or lie low and provide space for a child's forge. The tree may hold on to its leaves and symbolize infinity, or it may provide an elegant show of colors before sending its foliage into the wind as it prepares for the winter. A tree provides lumber to build, paper to write on, and fruit and nuts to eat. In the time that the tree stands, it adds a ring to its ever-growing trunk, proving that it has weathered the storm and continues to inspire growth and change.
From a small seed, a mighty trunk may grow. Aeschylus.
Much like the life of a tree, our city started from a seed, once planted by a farmer looking to provide for his family. This first settler, McBain Jameson, planted his roots in the black lands of North Texas.
These lands of rolling hills and plains were perfect for farming and ranching and provided a place for other homesteaders to take their turn. With the lands providing a rich soil to grow crops that would sustain a life for families, more and more folks pioneered the land we now call Plano.
Plano, from the Spanish word meaning plain or prairie, would soon become a home for those looking for a place to settle. The legacy of this land, settled by Jameson, started with the planting of a homestead. And as the roots began to reach deep into the soil, the first homeschool of 1850 was established.
Clay Thomas, the first known teacher, was chosen for his knowledge of Greek and Latin, and he took it upon himself to tend the crop of children now being raised in these untouched lands.
In 1860, Andy Drake came to Plano as an ox driver, hauling logs from Louisiana. He found few black citizens in this area at that time. In 1864, he returned with another load of logs, and this time he was asked by Cy Harrington, son of Alfred Harrington, to stay in the Plano area and work. He accepted Mr. Harrington's offer, for he was then free.
With the potential for progress and prosperity, more and more people came looking for a place to nest in the sunken canopy. As these families arrived, it became evident that the potential for growth was far more than expected.
Black men could not buy farmland in the area. So many farmed for white landowners, such as on fractions, on halves, thirds, and fourths. Others who succeeded with this type of farming were John McDonald and Mr. Bud Thornton. Both of these men gave their children college educations and were able to buy automobiles.
The first public school, founded in 1870 in the Christian Church, signified the roots of the city beginning to take hold, forming a district for educating the children of the sprawling farmland. A school district was formed in 1891, and in 1899, the public became Plano Independent School District.
Life is good. I always heard my mother saying these words, and I've been thinking, is life really good? I am an American girl, 8 years old, and my religion is from the Middle East. It is amazing to live in such a diverse society because you will always learn and know new cultures and new people who think differently but have the same dream to live a decent, peaceful life. So if you look for peace, you will find it. If your theme in life is justice and how to treat people in a respectful manner, you will be respected. Also, if you speak loud, defend your rights and not let anyone step on your toes without stepping on theirs, you know the exact meaning of freedom. Before I was born, my family faced many wars and lived in many different countries until they settled in America. My mother is a very well-educated lady who always inspires me. She taught me in order to understand freedom, I have to be clear and loud, clear with what I am trying to accomplish in my life, and doing the right thing no matter what it takes. In my opinion, the best way to be loud and clear is through education. Life is good.
It became important to make sure that the color of the leaves were varied. The first black school known to exist in the Plano area was settled in the late 1800s and was called the Shepton Colored School.
In 1880, Thomas Reed moved to Plano. He had a cafe, and of all the cafe owners, was the most successful.
Henry Burks and his wife, Nancy, known as Uncle Henry and Aunt Nancy, ran a boarding house on the corner of what is now Avenue I and 13th Street.
Aunt Nancy was famous for her soul food. Many people ate dinner with her. And on Saturday nights, she had fish fries. Her husband was a butcher at the slaughterhouse.
In 1898, black men and women began leaving their farms and coming into the city to work in its many industries. The job opportunities were good. There were 4 cotton gins, an oil mill, flour mill, an ice plant, a corn sheller, and a slaughterhouse in Plano.
Dear Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., you have been an inspiration to me. You once said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. To me, this means I should never be afraid to stand up for what is right or to do the right thing. Sometimes doing what is right isn't easy or popular, but choosing the moral path in life will feed our souls and build us up to be better people overall. Some people might think that something small like a comment or action won't matter, but it is the small things that we do every day that make us who we are, and those actions have the ability to build up or break down not only us, but those around us too. One of your other famous quotes says, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. This makes sense to me because every step or action that we take is leading us, and sometimes others too, somewhere. When we take positive steps, even the small ones, we might just be climbing a tall staircase that might be leading to a great future. We probably won't be able to see how all the pieces will fit together yet, But the future will be bright if we have faith and keep moving forward. But we have to be careful because if we take negative steps or actions, we could be walking backwards towards a future that we will not like. Finally, you stated, if I cannot do great things, I can do small things in a great way. But as it turned out, everyone would agree that you did do great things, great big things, and many great small things, all in a great way. This is an inspiration to me because although I am young now, I hope to grow up to do great big things one day. Until then, I can focus on doing small things in a great way. Throughout your life, you did many amazing things. You were and continue to be a great leader for people of all ages. I can only hope to try to put your teachings into action in my life, at school, and at home. Sincerely, Juliana Brown.
There was little racial prejudice in the community, and the two races worked well together. Some of the men who worked in the industry became foremen and supervisors. The butchers and the slaughterhouses were all black men. At the time, the black citizens had very little difficulty in getting jobs.
Treat people kindly, with thought and care, for we are important, we must be fair. Martin showed us what to do. He told us, do not fight. Although it took a while, we all thought it was right. To carry on his legacy, I'll take his word farther. So the whole world can see it's good, it's great, it's more than me. Some people are black, some people are white. Let's all get together, don't do it with fight.
In the early 1900s, more black men and women came into the area looking for a better way of life. One man, Andrew Davis, was very successful as a businessman. At first, he was a farmer. He later opened a barbecue diner and became famous for his good food.
With his success in business, he became the first black man to own a farm. Later, he sold the farm and seeing the need for housing the black families, opened what is now known as the Davis Addition in the south part of town.
Querido Martin Luther King Jr., en la escuela hemos leído libros acerca de tu historia y de todo lo que hiciste para conseguir los derechos de los que ahora todos disfrutamos. Es increíble la manera en que ayudaste y enseñaste a la gente de color a pelear por sus derechos, sin usar la violencia, únicamente dialogando y poniendo un buen ejemplo. Era muy triste cuando la gente de color era rechazada y no podía utilizar las mismas fuentes de color que la gente blanca. O en los autobuses, los blancos tuvieran siempre la preferencia. Incluso tenían que levantarse de su asiento y cederse a un blanco. A Rosa Parks le arrestaron por no levantarse de su asiento y porque era una mujer de la raza negra. Tú nos dejaste un legado fuerte y claro de cómo pelear por los derechos de manera pacífica y sin violencia. Es un orgullo para mí conocer tu historia y me gustaría seguir tu ejemplo de continuar haciendo el bien para que los niños de todas las razas y colores podamos convivir. Gracias, Martin Luther King, por el gran legado que nos dejaste. Sinceramente, Adam Miguel.
The black community and appointed Ms. Joni Davis as the teacher and principal. This began a time to recognize that trees have leaves of many shapes, colors, and sizes.
Like an orchard, the schools were planted by the type of fruit they would bear. Categorized by color, these schools would exist in their own forest.
James Jim Thomas was employed by Ella Merritt's barbershop in 1913 as a shoeshine boy and porter. He later became a one-man janitorial service for Farmers State Bank of Plano, the First National Bank of Plano, Moore's 5 and 10 Weatherford's Jewelry, Harrington's Drugstore,
Webb's Drugstore, Bradshaw's Insurance Brokerage, Shell's Insurance Brokerage, Dr. Coleman's office, Dr. Harris's office, Thompson's Dry Goods Store, Plano Printing Office, Telephone Company, Lawyer Harrington's office, and Soil Conservation Office. He provided the first laundry delivery service for Plano and was the first and only black fireman.
Although Jim had 9 children of his own, he always helped other families with children. Many times his wife, Willie Mae, cooked large pots of beans and whatever else she had left over. Jim gave clothes given to him by his white friends to those of his neighbors who needed them most, and was well known for his many deeds as a poor philanthropist. Beloved and respected by both the black and white communities, Jim Thomas was honored by having Thomas Elementary School named for him.
James Thomas ayudó a muchas personas, le dio comida, ropa y compañía. Él nos invitó a su casa a comer. Ayudó a muchas personas pobres a hacernos todo salía como hizo James Thomas. Cuando hace frío a la gente pobre los llevaría a mi casa, les daría una chamala, zapatos, ropa y comida.
Many black families lived in the area known as Kendrick's Alley, located between Avenue K and Avenue J on 16th Street. Some lived among the southern part of Avenue I in a few scattered houses along 13th and 14th Streets, where white families had once lived. Willie Moore was probably the first black man to purchase a home. Others then purchased the homes they had been renting.
I have a dream. This was once declared by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King worked his hardest all his life to make sure that one day, each and every boy or girl, no matter what their race or skin color, would stand hand in hand in love and respect one another. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. left us a treasure, a legacy. We must continue to follow his steps in working hard and fighting for what we believe in. The world is not a perfect place, but we can make it better if each person does his or her own part in making sure we treat each other fairly and respectfully. I urge the kids in my generation to leave behind their own treasure, something they can be proud of. So let's continue his hard work and stop the bullying in our schools. Let's continue to make our world better by continuing to promote peace and harmony for generations to come. I'm not saying that everyone in the world needs to do exactly what Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. did, but it would be great if all the kids take action in their communities and leave behind their own legacy. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. wanted the world to be a better place for everyone, no matter who they were or what they looked like. Don't worry, Dr. King. We hear you loud and clear.
Farmers like Mr. Thornton and Mr. John McDonald bought large portions of vacant lots and some rent houses.
Some black men and women started their own businesses, which carried them through the Depression. Will Jones had a moving and hauling business.
John Wallace operated a charcoal making business and also hauled for other people.
Lacey Drake operated a silent movie every Saturday night.
Uncle Turley was Plano's only cobbler. He ran a small shop and was busy most of the time.
Calvin Pinkston prepared as the local veterinarian.
During the Depression, picking cotton was the main source of income for many families. Picking also had a social aspect, for many different families would meet in the cotton patch and often, at dinner time, would sing religious hymns and popular blues songs. People always sang and picked cotton.
And now, Plano graduates W.T. Greer and his daughter Madison with a tribute to the late Dr. Maya Angelou with I'll Rise.
You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trot me down in the very dirt, but still like the dust I'll rise. Does my happiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I laugh like I've got an oil well pumping in my living room. You may shoot me with your lies, you may cut me with your eyes, and all rise, and I'll rise, I'll rise. You may cut me with your love. You may cut me with your eyes, and I'll
I think you should have made a contribution in this community, but you don't know that you're doing this. Citizens see it.
You know, to have a school named after you lasts a long time, and so that's pretty, I'm proud of that.
I feel like I'm a native of Plano, really.
I do too.
Because there were 241 people when we left Prosper, and it was not much bigger in Plano. And we were all Collin County, so they thought I was special being a native Collin County person.
If you went out in the country, you were at the corner of Alma and Park Boulevard. That's where you went out after school if you were going to have a fight. And some of those girls were really good. I have been so blessed to be raised in Texas and in this town. And of course the school system is the integral part of it. We were fortunate to have two coaches, Coach Kimbrough and Coach Clark, who are both colorblind. And not only that, but they were mentors. The attitude of the Plano school system and the teachers starting in first grade, if you can grab a kid in the first grade, you're going to have him for the rest of his life. I had a plethora of teachers who took an interest in every one of their students, and they mentored, they were honest, they wanted to be there, and they were teachers. And there's no higher profession.
It's based a lot on just the standards that were set previous generations before me, and still to be carrying it on.
I grew up in Plano. My father was superintendent of schools here for about 47 years. School was right across the street from where I lived. I graduated in 1949. My wife's a member of that class. Here is a picture very young and then as a senior. My dad was so interested in having Plano reinstated in science that he took off the first period every day. He taught chemistry one year and physics the next. He really had a major influence on my brother and I because both of us wound up in education. And he made a decision. He said, I'll never leave Plano. And he stayed here until he retired. He tried to place a heavy emphasis on academics. He enjoyed athletics a great deal. Tommy Kimbrough, yeah. He was the coach at Plano then, and I was principal at Highland Park High School. Father and son divided over this, and the game was played in Texas Stadium. There were 50,000 people there, and Plano was behind 28-0. They came back and won the game 29-28.
Expectations is the legacy that stayed with me, and it's the thing that Dr. Hendrick had for all the students. He wanted them to be successful in everything they did. He certainly wanted us to be successful in athletics, and he let me know that. We had some pretty good teams going, but one year we've graduated a lot of players, and so I thought I'd better prepare Dr. Hendrick a little bit. And I said, Dr. Hendrick, we might not be quite as good this year. We lost a lot of players, and I just want you to remember that every Saturday morning you look at the paper, that half the teams have won and half the teams have lost. And he said, John, that'll be just fine if you remember which half we want to be in.
I graduated from Plano High School in 1965. Great group of kids. We were the largest group that had come through. There were 95 of us, which by class sizes today, that's not very large, but at that time it was large. First growth spurt, I think, actually started occurring in maybe the early 60s. TI was building their first facility, and there was a huge influx then. It has just grown and grown and grown, and just the blossoming of all the schools. It's really amazing.
Like the Plano Colored School, which would later be named after abolitionist Frederick Douglass, the time would come for a community and a nation to realize that a richer fruit would be given by providing a place for all to be nourished and tended as one.
As the nation dictated, the Plano schools integrated in the 1964 to 65 school year with stable weather that resembles a cool summer breeze.
I started teaching in Plano School in 1952, and Mr. Sigler and I would always go down to Douglas Elementary because he thought that was real special for us to go down there. And one of my favorite places to go, because the homemaking teacher down there was a friend of mine, Tracy Wortham, and we would always go down to their fashion shows, and they'd come up to ours. We had a real close relationship, and when we integrated, she and I both grabbed each other around the neck and said, aren't we glad to be together now? And it was a special time for all of us.
We all knew each other. We played with each other. I hated segregation because of the show we had. The blacks had to sit upstairs and the whites downstairs, and if you've ever been hit from a balcony with a milk dud,
David, I have nothing to do with it. I've grown up to realize how important, how wonderful this school district has been. The community has been to me and my family. And as a young student, I took it for granted that this happened everywhere, that it was a seamless transition, you know, as we went through integration, because you guys made it seamless. The community made it seamless. We just knew that we were integrating, and it would be great, things would be fine, and it was. Until I arrived in college and I saw other kids, African American kids, who I communicated with, and they talked about all the strife, all the difficult times and the prejudice that they were forced to live with.
Those were tough days. Eisenhower had just sent the troops to Little Rock. We were trying to make plans for integration. We knew it was coming. We worked it out with the two principals of the principal of the Douglas School and T.H. Williams. T.H. was a real good ally during those days too. Ben Thomas was a rather active member of the Douglas community. I liked the Thomases very much. Ben said, let's see if we can't work out something with peace.
I think the key to it all was the people that we had. And it was seamless when I got here. It was just rolling and accepted.
and people knew that it was the right thing.
I just remember getting off the bus at the back of the parking lot, and it's like, this is the way it ought to be. And I have a vivid memory of walking into school that day with lots of people I hadn't seen before because they were in town and we only knew the people in the country if they weren't on the bus. But I just felt like this is the way it's supposed to be.
We have known Dr. Hendricks as our great superintendent. Had you been in Dr. Hendricks' shoes from the stories he's told me in the past, I'd have my bag packed and my shoes, I wouldn't even put my shoes on, I would have been out of town. The job he did during those days is remarkable. The job that Ben Thomas did during those days is remarkable. The job that Bill Williams did during those days is remarkable. The job that John Hightower did during those days is remarkable. Dr. Hendricks, to you and all that you went through during that time, this community is truly grateful.
It'll work. It'll work. Not one blemish that first year at all. The kids, both black and white, accepted each other, and you'd have thought that it never existed in the first place.
Our lives began to end the day we become silent about things that matter. That was a statement by Martin Luther King Jr. He meant that we have to be loud and clear about things that really matter in the world. He helped to solve the problem where people who were judged by the color of their skin without violence. He took the legacy of nonviolence and gone. We need to take Martin Luther King's legacy and make it loud and clear today. We can do that by standing up and keep on trying to keep on going when someone tries to stand in our way. Rita Hickey was also someone who acted loud and clear. She was a teacher and school leader. She taught students how to be good homemakers. She also helped make decisions to build 2 new high schools in Plano for us. Rita Hickey was an example of moving Martin Luther King's legacy forward because she helped people learn and not give up. And she served people like he did. Because of her, we have a beautiful school in her name to help us remember her legacy. Martin Luther King's legacy helps us to remember the past and look forward to the future. You don't have to be like him to change the laws. There are different ways to be like him. You could just stop a fight or stand up to a bully. Martin Luther King broke down barriers. Even when someone got in his way, he kept on going. If he had let them treat people that way, I wouldn't be going to school with black ones, and I wouldn't even know them. To be like Martin Luther King, you could help someone new at your school and show them around, or you could help someone who speaks Spanish with their homework. Martin Luther King said that the ultimate tragedy is not oppression and cruelty of the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people. We need to take his legacy and make it loud and clear today. We need to take a stand. We can't be Muslims. My teacher told us that a Muslim is someone who is on the fence. The mug is on one side and the wump is on the other side. They don't stand for anything. You can't be a Muslim. You need to stand up. We can't be silent. Make sure you stand up to bullies and other mean people. Be a hero and make a difference. Make it clear to others what you stand for and make a difference. If we stand up for things that are wrong, we will leave a legacy that helps people remember we can be strong and not weak. We can be loud and clear.
We all know that the weather could have changed in an instant. But with much preparation, proper tending of the fields, and communication with fellow farmers, the school district managed to deliver a new kind crop in a diverse field of education.
This new farm, better known as Williams High School, was named after a lifelong teacher and principal, Mr. T.H. Williams. This first integrated school became the starting point for an education system that dedicated acceptance, innovation, vision, leadership, and exceptionalism.
This poem
poem came from my heart and I want it to go to yours. This poem goes out to Martin Luther King Jr., an outspoken leader, the man who finally made us hold hands without any disgust. On April 4th, 1968, this outstanding leader died, but his legacy didn't, and neither did his powerful words. Now it's up to our generation to continue his legacy by our actions, words, and words. We can change the world just like Martin Luther King Jr. The voice of one. The voice of one, a man, a person, a leader. His legacy shouts loud and clear. The speech, the voice. Fire shot out like a bullet every time he opened his mouth. Words are powerful. They are sharper than any sword. A speck of confidence and a dash of faith mixes the potion to create his courage. Just the caring and stern look on his face is the key to open up the gates to his personality. His words were all he needed as a weapon, even though they held guns in their possession. The bias, rules, and laws didn't anger his fists, but only started the engine to his words. Then one day, this outspoken leader took a stare. As soon as his words hit the air, he changed the future and made the past. Now today, we're able to laugh, hold hands, share pencils, but those are only the small things. Martin Luther King Jr., too many words to describe him. The voice of one that changed it all. Loud and clear screams his legacy from now and forever.
Wow, as you can see from the video that we just watched, this year's MLK contest, art contest, was very competitive and yielded some beautiful artwork. I am pleased to introduce our contest finalists. This year's contest is sponsored by the Plano ISD Education Foundation. All right, winners, as I call your names, please come to the stage where our Teachers of the Year, Whitney Pitzer, where's Whitney, and Karen Stanton will greet you. Whoops. You have the little piece. Okay. All right. First place in the elementary division, Audrey He from Matthews Elementary. All right, first place in the middle school division is Allison Lyon from Bowman Middle School. First place in the high school division is Audrey Shin from the IB World School at Plano East Senior High. And the first place in the senior high school division is Erin Valesky from Plano East Senior High. All right, please join me in applauding these outstanding student artists. Thank you, students. And thank you again to the Plano ISD Education Foundation.
Good evening. I'm Diane Hodge, Chairman of the Plano ISD's Diversity Advisory Committee. I want to stop for a second and say that I've been losing my voice for over a week, so you guys have please bear with me. And I'm going to do a fantastic job with the voice that I have left, I promise you. I am so thrilled to be here, and I'm so impressed by the student performances that we've seen this evening. Your tribute to Dr. King and the legacy of Plano ISD has been very moving to us all. I'm pleased to help recognize several community members who embody the same spirit as Dr. King and the pioneers who have honored tonight with the presentation of the 2015 Diversity Leadership Awards. Congratulations to all of our nominees. This award is coordinated annually by the Diversity Advisory Committee to honor students, staff, and community members whose actions honor the work and ideas of Dr. King. As I call your name, please stand and remain standing until all names have been called. Our Diversity Leadership Award nominees are Ami Shaw of Shepton High School, Priyanka Siri, Plano East Senior High School, Nancy Garcia Smith, Clark High School, Natalie Brewer Kemper, Clark High School, Elton Drake, Williams High School. Gerardo Luna Williams High School. Rocio Martinez Mendoza Rice Middle School. Kristen Kennard and Leah Higginson Williams High School. And lastly, Vicki Harper, Charlotte Salem, Dan Zock, and Judith Alfaro with the Bowman Diversity Program Committee of Bowman Middle School. You guys may be seated. Thank you. To announce our winners, let's hear from some eager young friends from Isaac's Early Childhood School.
The winner is Priyanka Suri from Plano East Senior High. The winner is Helena Luna from Williams High School. Yay! Winner is Rosidi Barbara Bowman Middle School. Yay! Good job! The winner is Outton Drake. We need more good people like you.
As I call your names, I invite you to come up on my right side, your left side of the stage, and receive your awards. Archery Daniel of the Plano ISD Human Resource Department will be presenting you with your awards this evening. May I have Priyanka Suri? Please start making your way to the stage. Priyanka Suri, a sophomore at the IB World School at Plano East Senior High School, has set such a great example for all of us to follow when it comes to successfully, when it comes to successfully bringing the community and its many diverse cultures together. This Diversity Leadership Award winner demonstrates her creative skills and strengths through diversity and leadership capabilities, including organizing and directing numerous multicultural dance performances throughout the community, commitment to organizations such as Habitat for Humanity, UNICEF, and Girl Scouts, and involvement in the Plano International Festival. Somehow, in her busy schedule, she finds time for her love of music and playing the flute. Priyanka has even had the honor of playing at Carnegie Hall in New York. Please join me in giving Priyanka a round of applause. As I start reading this, I need my next winner to make his way up. Over 5 years ago, Diversity Leadership Award recipient Gerardo Luna started a group called Journey at Williams. When he saw a great need in the number of Williams High School Hispanic male students, he used this group as a platform to help foster their understanding of the importance of education, give them incentives to stay in school through encouragement, help them acclimate to the college environment with field trips to university campuses, and even started a soccer team to give these students an outlet to play the game they all love so much, as many of them didn't have transportation needed to play on the official school teams. But perhaps most importantly, he gave them a place to call their own and a group of peers to have as friends and share a sense of commonality. Please give Gerardo a round of applause. This year's Diversity Group Leadership Award honors 4 teachers from Bowman Middle School. Vicki Harp, Charlotte Salem, Dan Zock, and Judith F. Farrell. Together are the Bowman Diversity Program Committee. Through countless hours of hard work and dedication, this group pulled various groups of students together and coordinated a program to feature the many diverse cultures within the district and the community. With over 800 students, 90 faculty members, and many parents in attendance, the program culminated in a celebration of diversity with a show of music, dance, and clothing from around the world. Please give them another round of applause. Since his graduation from Plano East, Diversity Community Leadership Award recipient Elton Drake has been actively involved in our community, and from what I understand, his wife is here to accept his award, Miss Vita Drake, okay? Elton Drake has been actively involved in our community through his church and his nonprofit organization, Old School, New School Hoops Club. Elton is the youth minister at Willow Creek Baptist Church in Plano. In addition to working with youth, he is actively involved with the food pantry and the clothes closet ministry at the church, where they help many people in the Plano community. Through his nonprofit organization, Elton works with students from age 7 to 18. Their goal is to help these students excel in whatever sport, music program, or extracurricular activity they may be involved in. Plano ISD is so proud to have a graduate like Elton Drake, who so selflessly give his time to mentor and provide opportunities for underserved youth in our community. Please give him another round of applause. We're going to take a photo.
Looking around, it is clear we have much to be thankful for these days. As Americans, we are blessed to have so many freedoms and privileges. We can attribute these great freedoms to a collaboration of many citizens who have served bravely, educated thoughtfully, and spoken boldly. Each of these Americans built a legacy that lives on through all of us as we strive to do the same. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is a perfect example of such an American. He helped to improve society and create a legacy through his powerful and uplifting words. The inspiring thing is, each one of us is capable of impacting the world in some way, large or small. You never know when a brave act, a boldly spoken word, or a well-taught lesson will become your lasting legacy. Here in our community, I'm amazed at how Plano ISD continues to build a powerful legacy of excellence and achievement. Our schools are able to offer each child that walks through our doors so many valuable experiences and opportunities. As a teacher, I feel like a small part of something big when I consider the many moving parts that make our community the wonderful place that it is. As a former Plano East Panther and Williams Warrior, I was one of thousands of students that graduate every year equipped with the tools they need to succeed and excel anywhere they go. So many success stories all over the world have started right here in a Plano school. Now that I am a teacher here myself, it's hard for me to know what my contribution or legacy will be. Hopefully, my kindergartners are only enjoying the first of many positive experiences as they embark on their educational journeys. I can be pretty certain that no student of mine will ever know the countless hours, late nights, and weekends spent documenting, emailing, conferencing, and laminating. I guess my greatest hope would be that one day a former student might say something like, "That kindergarten teacher, Miss what's her name, she smiled a lot. She gave lots of high fives. We danced a lot. She made me want to try new things, take risks, and learn as much as humanly possible." In reality, I'm guessing they'll probably just remember the dancing. However, as long as they're off somewhere, building a legacy of their own by acting bravely, educating thoughtfully, or speaking boldly, I can be happy with that. Martin Luther King Jr. inspired us with his idealism and his optimism, but maybe most importantly, with his deeds that reflected his words. Through his inspirational presence in American life and his pursuit of social justice, he strengthened our morality and our hope, and thus permanently impacted our society. I think that all adults who work with young people have a similar opportunity, and maybe even an obligation, to affect the future through our daily interactions with these future leaders, inventors, educators, and citizens. I hope that my legacy as a teacher will be that I was present in my students' lives, and that my presence made them stronger and smarter and better, but maybe more importantly, that I heard them and I saw them, and I know their important stories. I met them where they were. Everyone has a story, and I've never disliked anyone whom I've taken the time to know. I try to offer opportunities in my class for students to get to know each other so that they can grow their compassion and their patience. I also hope that when my students think of me, they think of a person who insists that they do their best work. I mean, it's important to build relationships with students, and I hope that I do. But I also want to leave a legacy of learning and thinking, and of the confidence that comes only when a student succeeds at something that they perceive to be challenging. One of my students was after school recently for tutorials, and he told me that he wished that he could just have me first period and get it over with. And I teasingly told him that he was hurting my feelings. And he said, "No, Ms. Stanton, it's not you. It's just, dang, you make us work in here. You hurt my brain." I hope that with him and the other students that I teach, I will leave a legacy of young people who believe that hard work pays off, and that people who never, ever give up are always met with success. I hope that when they think of me, they will think of someone who expected them to change the world and who gave them a few tools to do it. With deep roots bedded in black soils and white chalk, an abundance of nourishment, and a goal of reaching towards the sun, a tree will grow exponentially. The Plano tree roots maneuver through the soils to reach deep into the earth to garner strength for the long haul and attain the necessary sustenance needed to survive and thrive. Its canopy of branches and leaves are far-reaching and provide a place of shelter that bears a bountiful fruit that is sweeter than any other. It provides protection from the sun and shelter for those in need. Its ever-reaching peak continues to grow as it casts a shadow on the surrounding forest.
The Song of Freedom. Not taken for granted, a true legacy rings, loud and clear as its melody sings. For it must be heard to truly take place, reaching out, embracing all in its grace. A true legacy is what Dr. King once showed. Determined to fight, he persisted on his road. His dreams pushed him to his ultimate goal, and it was grace that made it whole. Dr. King's legacy is a powerful song that flows through all hearts and makes them strong. A symphony of colors is what King once dreamed of. A variety of races that creates music from above. Throughout the country, the sound of freedom rings. On every mountainside and valley it clings. Let the song burst from land to land, so all may enjoy this eternal band. Brothers and sisters, unite as one. Mother and daughter, father and son. It takes us all together, hand in hand, to sweep equality throughout the land. Brothers and sisters, unite as one. Mother and daughter, father and son. It takes all together, hand in hand, to sweep equality throughout the land. The Song of Freedom was written by Michael Chow, 4th grader at Skaggs Elementary. These are the words of the song that you're about to hear. The music was composed by Tate Keene, Plano Senior High School graduate, TCU student at this time.
Not taken for granted, a true legacy rings loud and clear as its melody sings, for it must be heard to truly take place, always reaching out, embracing all in its grace. Brothers and sisters, unite as one. Mother and daughter, father and son. It takes us all together, hand in hand, to sweep equality throughout this land. This is our song of freedom.
Oh, yes it is.
Dr. King's legacy is a powerful song that flows throughout our hearts and makes them strong. A symphony of colors is what the King once dreamed of. The variety of races is what creates the music from above. Brothers and sisters, tonight as one. Mothers and daughters, father and son. It takes us all together, hand in hand, sweep equality throughout this land. This is our song of freedom. Throughout the country, this freedom rings from every mountain and every valley it clings. Let the song burst from land to land, so that all may enjoy this eternal band. Brothers and sisters, unite as one. Mothers and daughters, father and son, it takes us all together, hand in hand, to sweep equality throughout this land. This is our song of freedom, song of freedom. Song of freedom. It's a song of freedom.
The strength of a tree is derived from the trunk. A solid single trunk with larger branches extending out to form a canopy. Smaller branches and leaves hold the tree together to allow for growth in height and expanse. Strong trees will weather turbulent storms. Limbs may sway, crack, or even break, and the base of the tree will continue to thrive and heal its wounds. Year after year, the rings form in its base, telling the story of its survival.
Advice from a tree. Stand tall and proud. Go out on a limb. Remember your roots. Drink plenty of water. Be content with your natural beauty and enjoy the view.